This video is about supporting someone with a learning disability who uses or who might be able to use a visual means of communication, such as signing, picture cards, or a communication aid. To support someone to use a visual means of communication, it is essential that we demonstrate these methods. This video is going to explain why and give ideas of how to do this. It is useful to think about how we first learned to speak when we were little, to consider how to help people to communicate using different methods. We learn the meaning of words and how to say them from the people around us using them in context. From the moment we're born, people around us naturally talk to us, demonstrating language constantly for around 9 months before they ever anticipate us attempting to say any words back to them. It is estimated that at 18 months old, a child will have experienced 4,380 hours of people talking to them, at an average of 8 hours per day. Consider how many hundreds of times people said the word mum to you before you were ever able to use it for yourself. People are constantly demonstrating words to help children learn them. For example, saying sunglasses to a child as you pass them their glasses or help them to put them on. Saying the word sad when a child is feeling sad. And by saying the word throw when throwing a ball. By giving the words for things children see and experience, we show the meaning of those words so that eventually they'll become able to use the word themselves. This is called labelling. Rather than pointing it out if children say something slightly wrong when learning to speak, the natural response is to repeat it back, saying what we think is meant. For example, if a child points to a cat and says, "Dat," we might say, "Yes, it's a cat." This is called recasting. And once children have mastered single words, we support them to build sentences. If a child says, "Dog," we might reply, "Yes, it's a big dog." And by doing this, we demonstrate how to build sentences. This is called expanding. Labelling, recasting, and expanding are all forms of demonstrating language. Research shows that the same principles of demonstration are effective when you are supporting adults with learning disabilities to use signing or other visuals to communicate. We can think about how we can demonstrate using visuals in everyday life by labelling, commenting, expanding, and recasting what people say to us. There are other benefits to us demonstrating signing and picture communication. Typically, people are far more likely to use visuals in a situation where the people around them use them too. By other people using signing or pictures, they're showing that it is a socially respected form of communication. When we support what we say with pictures or signs, we also help the person to pay attention to, understand, and remember what we're saying. We have to be patient. It takes time for someone to learn alternative means of communication, just as it takes time to learn to talk. However, it is so worth persevering and being consistent to support this learning. The potential to increase someone's communication is vast. If we make the effort, it can increase others' quality of life massively. If every time we offer someone a drink, we use the sign or picture for drink, we're helping them understand what we're offering. Maybe after a while of us using that visual before giving a drink, they may understand what we are offering when we do it. They may be able to respond to indicate yes or no when we do that sign or show that picture. It could be that after months or years of you doing this, that person becomes familiar enough with the visual to use it themselves. This would help increase independence, meaning that they aren't reliant on you offering drinks at the time when they want one, a skill that many of us take for granted. A show and go approach is a good way to introduce people to visuals. By this we mean using the visual immediately before a person does an activity or experience. It is harder for people to make the link between the visual and its meaning if there's a delay. For example, a delay between seeing the swimming visual and actually getting in the pool to swim. But you can overcome this. For example, you can introduce the sign or symbol for swimming when offering the activity, and keep using it during the journey to build an association between the visual and where you're going. Use it again on arrival at the pool, making sure you're using your words as well as your sign or picture. Use it to ask, "Are you ready to swim?" once you've got your swimming costumes on. And again to say, "Look, Barry's swimming," when you're in the pool. If someone starts to understand our use of visuals, we can use them to offer choices. For example, do you want to go bowling or swimming? By doing this, we'll be demonstrating to them how they might be able to express their choice. Maybe with enough experience of us using the visual, they might feel able to use it independently to say if they're wanting to go swimming. As well as using visuals to request things and activities, we can also use them for more general concepts. This could be words that are really useful, but don't conjure an obvious image or gesture in our minds, such as the word more. Maybe the person you support loves it when you dance with them. If you occasionally stop dancing and use the visual for more before carrying on, you'll be introducing this concept in a way that might be very motivating for them. You could also use visuals to introduce the concept of finished. By doing things like this, you'll be teaching the person to use these words, which may be useful in loads of different scenarios. For example, if someone throws their cup as a means of telling you they've finished their drink, you could model the sign or show the picture for finished whilst offering to take the cup away. By doing so, you'll be demonstrating a safer way of communicating. Maybe the next time you support someone to tie their shoelaces, you use the visual for help to accompany your spoken offer to help them. In time, after you've demonstrated how to use that sign or picture enough, before struggling with their shoelace, they might use the picture or sign to ask you to help them. It could be that when someone accidentally reaches toward the wrong cup on the table, you use pictures or signs to support when you say, "No, this one's mine. That one's yours." With enough experience of this, a person might one day be able to use the visual for mine in a different situation, thus generalizing their use of the word. Imagine the pride a person might feel when, say, their support worker at day service takes the pottery out of the oven and asks, "Whose is this? It's lovely." And using their visuals, they're able to indicate, "It's mine." Creating opportunities for using visuals in a person's life is so important for developing this approach. It's good to think of ways to utilise them in the everyday. Like before a trip to the shops, you could use signs or pictures to support the question, "Do you have your money?" In your bag. Eventually, the person you support might be able to use the sign or picture you demonstrated to them to ask you where their bag or money is. This could reduce a lot of frustration. Another idea is to have people's pictures on the wall, so that everyone at a service can point to the person's picture while saying their name. This is useful not only for introductions and talking about who's working that day, but also for when you need to talk about someone who isn't in the immediate environment, i.e. they're not there for a person to see or to point at. Imagine how hard it must be to be limited to mostly communicating about things that you can see or point at in your surroundings, because you don't have the means to express your thoughts and feelings about things that are not related to your immediate situation. Imagine feeling distressed because your favourite support worker Gemma isn't at work today. Well, being able to use visuals, having Gemma's picture on the wall, or knowing the sign for Gemma's name would give you a means to let people around you know you are thinking about Gemma and get the reassurance you need. As a person becomes more confident in using visuals to express themselves, start thinking about what you can do to build on their success by expanding their usage. If you're at Graves Park and the person you support is laughing at a sheep and using the sign for sheep, you could expand on this by signing and saying, "Funny sheep." In the future, they may be able to tell you what they think, that something is funny on TV or in a book. This will expand your interactions. If the person uses pictures rather than signing to communicate, you could do demonstration using their pictures to say, "Funny." Sheep. Hopefully these examples have shown you how using visuals can not only help somebody with a learning disability to understand what you say, but also guide them how they might be able to use signs and pictures meaningfully to express themselves. Remember, people need time and other people around them to learn to communicate. The same process and support is necessary to learn to functionally use signs and pictures. Speech and language therapists can help support this process. We can give training in sign-supported English and give workshops, resources, and advice for picture communication strategies. But it's you who'll make the real difference to someone's communication development. You who interacts with that person in their daily life and shows them how to communicate meaningfully. Thank you for listening.